Are you expecting the entire front bumper cover for a Mazda RX-8?
My good dear friend, yes.
Late last year, Volvo announced that they were going to stop selling wagons in the United States, which means the company that basically invented the station wagon is going to be reduced to an SUV-only lineup for the 2026 model year. And this car in front of us, the V60 Cross Country, is the last station wagon that Volvo will sell in the United States. For the time being, we may see something in the future, but as of now, this is it. And in fact, at the time you're watching this video, order banks have already closed, which means you can't even buy this car that I'm showing you right now. Production ends next month in April, and I suppose if you're lucky, you may be able to find one of these on a lot at a Volvo dealership. But I think this is sad because I adore wagons, and I don't think we appreciate them enough in the US, and I suppose this is proof of that, being that they're dead in Volvo's lineup. But everybody in their head thinks that they need an SUV, when in reality, an SUV is really just a lifted station wagon, and you just don't get the style that you get with a wagon with an SUV, and I think that's what people just don't understand. And they also don't really consider how usable these are. And today we're going to show you just how usable these are with a bit of a living with video in this 2026 Volvo V60 Cross Country, and also bid it a proper farewell. Oh, man, I'm going to miss it. I often get the question, if you had to choose a car to daily drive, if money were no object, what would it be? And I always answer a Volvo V60 Cross Country. And in fact, I would spec mine exactly like this. Ultimate trim, forest lake exterior with an amber interior and the Bowers and Wilkins sound system. Whoever spec'd this car at Volvo, you deserve a raise, because this is just fantastic. And we'll get to the interior more in just a second, but I want to talk some basic specs with this car before we dive in. Now, under the hood, your only engine choice left in 2026 was the 2-liter turbocharged 48-volt mild hybrid 4-cylinder engine. Combined power output here, 247 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That is connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this is all-wheel drive. The little electric motor in there makes 13 horsepower on its own. This weighs about 4,000 pounds, and it has the towing package, which means this can tow 2,000 pounds. So, I don't know, a jet ski or like a very small little pop-up camper. But the essence of wagons is really what lies behind the rear seats and all of that practicality, which is why we're starting today's video with a prop, because in the back of this Volvo V60, with only half the seats folded down, you can fit an entire front bumper cover from a Mazda RX-8, and you can still sit in the back seat. Check it out. I've got all the room in the world in this, and I'm riding with the front of a Mazda RX-8. So this is, I think, what people just don't consider, is you don't need a Volvo XC60 to do this. In fact, I actually don't know that you could fit this in a Volvo XC60. You might have to go for the XC90 to fit a Mazda RX-8 front bumper cover. But around this, you could fit all of your sort of day bags and things if you're traveling with a front bumper. Forgive me, guys. I went over to the shop and I asked Keone, I said, what's the biggest thing you have in here? And he gave me this front bumper cover. So we're going to go drop this back off to him before we go out on the road. But I feel like this is just a great demonstration of just how much dang room is in this thing. And the funniest thing about this is not even the biggest wagon that Volvo sold. They also had the V90, which was the flagship wagon. And, well, I held out a little bit of hope for the V60, but it was short-lived. So underneath the trunk floor, which I think we can actually show you while this bumper is still in here, we have a compact spare, which is another lovely thing to see, kind of in the design of a Steely, but big to fit over the brakes, and that is appropriate in this V60 Cross Country. We also have this all-weather mat here in the back, which I have messed up by lifting that thing up. We've got a little first aid kit in our netting over here as well. And then we'll show you back seat room, even though we already gave you a little bit of a sneak peek. But we'll step into this amber leather interior, which is just gorgeous. And also, listen to the outside, okay, headphone users. Complete and utter silence in the interior of this. And this is quite an open cabin as well, being that it is an wagon. And it's just complete serenity in this interior. Unbelievable. Now, mixed materials, typical Volvo stuff. You've got this a little bit of a scratchy plastic on the top of the door panel, but keen-eyed viewers will have noticed, and also I guess I already talked about it, the Bowers and Wilkins sound system, which is just the best in the business. I mean, I say this every time I review a car, that the gold standard is this sound system. And we see those very attractive speaker covers here in the rear doors, some of that amber leather extended to the door panels. You have some cup holders here, and if this was folded up, I could show you the little fold-down armrest with some cup holders, but trust me, it is there. Bit of a drivetrain hump in the middle, of course, because this is all-wheel drive. The main thing is room back here, which there is plenty of. I'm 5'11", sat here behind myself, and totally fine. No adjustment with these rear seats, but they do the trick. But my favorite part about the back seat in this are the B-pillar mounted vents. This is something that you actually don't really see very much. And my neighbors, actually 2 doors down, that have a dog, brought this up to me, that they want as many vents in the back as possible to make sure their dog is refreshed during the car ride. And it made me look for this. And you wouldn't believe how many cars don't have B-pillar vents. So this is very cool to see, and ensures plenty of airflow for your furry friend or your human friends that are sitting in the back seat. So that gets a pass for me in the back seat department. Let's pop the hood and show you this 2-liter mild hybrid 4-cylinder. And if you guys know Volvos, you know this hood is going to shoot to the sky. Watch this. Watch how high this goes. It's basically just always in service position. It's like almost a 90-degree angle. It's so funny. Anyway, we have this squishy engine cover, which I always like. You can kind of punch it and nothing happens because it's rubber. But there's the 2-liter, again, 247 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. That little 13 horsepower electric motor sandwiched between the engine and the 8-speed transmission. Otherwise, though, I mean, not a whole lot to see under here. It's just a 2-liter. But now we get to shut this hood. I think if you were short, you'd actually have a bit of a problem shutting that. You know what was even prettier than this was the regular V60 non-cross country with the Polestar engineered pack. Emily and I road tripped one of those actually to pick up some seats for the Topher's S2000. I think that, geez, that's probably been a couple of years at this point. But again, another video to show off the Wagon practicality that you can go check out if you would like. But let's jump in and start this up, and we'll show you around this interior in the front. I've got a couple other props, accidental props with me today. I have my Max Verstappen Yeti, which was given to me, so please don't drag me in the comments for that. And also my phone, which we're going to talk about when we talk about the infotainment. But first, let's use my favorite method to start up a new car, besides a key, which is this twist to start engine start stop. Anything to feel like I'm engaging with the car a little bit more is always a win for me, so I love twisting those, and I hope Volvo keeps those around. Otherwise, up here, pretty much the same, and the V60 didn't get some of the updates that the SUVs got, obviously, because Volvo has been planning to kill this car for a long time, so we still have the old infotainment system in here, and it's been extremely frustrating this week because I've had to restart it twice, and really I would say maybe only 1 out of every 100 I have to restart the infotainment system because something is malfunctioning. Well, this one I've had to restart twice, which I don't think I've ever had to do on any car, and you do that if you're curious. You hold this button right here for 20 seconds and it will restart the infotainment system. I am now the expert in this. The first reason I had to restart this is because the Apple CarPlay wouldn't work, which, by the way, this is only wired CarPlay in this car, so we're already years behind. But I restarted it and got this to work. Is it not working again? Well, you guys might be witnessing an infotainment restart on camera because the Apple CarPlay is not working again. Okay, well, this is what it's been doing for me all week, where I plug my phone in and nothing happens. And I know the cable works because it's charging the phone, and I actually had it running CarPlay earlier, but that's just not a thing. And then earlier I got CarPlay to work, and then the sound system wouldn't turn on anywhere in the car. So I had the radio trying to go, nothing, I had no sound from CarPlay, restarted again, and then all systems were go. But I guess now that I've shut the car off, it's broken again. So here, I'll show you how to restart the infotainment on a Volvo V60. I'm going to unplug my phone here just to not complicate it. So you hold this and then keep holding it. And then it'll go into screen cleaning mode, but you have to keep holding past this. And then it'll shut down and you'll hear the climate control shut off too. See that? Now the Volvo logo will come up when this is rebooting, and then we should, in theory, have CarPlay now. But I imagine this would get a bit tiring having to restart this every morning. I sat in the garage for about 15 minutes trying to figure this out earlier today. But, okay, moving past the infotainment, obviously the rest of this interior is quite nice. As far as materials and things go up here, it's very well appointed. We have a leather stitched dash, and we have wood trim. You guys know I just adore wood trim, and you can actually make more of it by closing the little cup holder cubby. But we need that today for our cup. The only other kind of shortcoming in this interior is lack of places to put things, because this center console is kind of your only choice in the console if you don't have if you do have cups with you, because those would be taking up these couple of slots. So that's kind of all you've got there. And then you have these door pockets too, which are not very deep, but you could kind of wedge a cup in here if you absolutely needed to. You know, it doesn't really fit the happiest, but it would do it. Okay, this is now just completely black. Oh dear. Didn't do this for me earlier. I restarted it and it actually powered back on. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Though I thought I saw the Volvo logo earlier. Maybe it just needed to reboot itself a couple of times. There it is. Okay, let's see if CarPlay works now. However, before I activate CarPlay, I want to make sure that the radio is working, because last time I went straight to CarPlay. Okay, yes, radio is working. That is a good thing. All right, let's plug the phone in and see if we have Apple CarPlay activities, because we want to be able to show off the sound system in this. There it is. Okay, proof that my cord works and proof that this infotainment is crap. But luckily, new Volvo vehicles have an updated system. Just as I said, this didn't get it because Volvo was planning on killing it. Big central mounted volume knob there, and otherwise, I mean, you guys know this interior. It's been the same for so long. But design-wise, it stays with the times, it stays classy, and it even has a crystal as a shifter. So let's use that crystal shifter, and let's go give Keone his Mazda RX-8 bumper back, and then we'll go out on the road and show you what this is like to drive. You do have to manually disengage your parking brake, but it's in an easy spot right behind the stop-start switch. Into drive pulls up that 360 camera, which is super crispy and can tell the future. Look at this. Very wide angle there. Now we'll get into this a little bit more later, but you guys know my favorite thing about Volvos is the light steering. And this is like borderline land yacht light. It's so light. You could probably steer it with your pinky if you had one of those little knobs that came off of it, if you could get a grip on the wheel. But it just makes living with these so easy. We'll pull in here and we'll do a maneuver and we'll back up to the door and pull this bumper out. But it just makes it so there's really no effort required for day-to-day activities. If you have sore arms after a day in the gym, Volvo is the car for you. And check out these cameras. Actually getting up here to place this, we'll get through the sea of broken down cars up to the door. Not all of them are broken down. We'll put this into park. I'm going to leave this running because I don't want this to kill my Apple CarPlay again. Actually, have to probably keep the auto stop start off. Stay running. Stay running, please. Okay, there we go. We can use this button. That will pop the hatch. You can see there. And we will unload the bumper. I have a parts delivery for Cap's Garage.
There we go, exactly what I was expecting.
Are you expecting the entire front bumper cover for a Mazda RX-8?
My good dear friend, yes. There it is. Now we can finish the LS build.
There you go. All right, baby.
If it fits, it ships, man.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Oh, let's actually fold this second row seat back up. You guys can see how easy that is. Just hold this little guy here and move that up, and then you are back to a back seat, and there's that armrest that I told you about earlier. Okay, let's jump back in and we'll get this into downtown. The only other stop actually that we have to make is filling up the fuel tank. So we'll really just kind of focus on driving this today and show you what that's like. Parking brake will automatically disengage if you get in and just put your foot on the accelerator. And off we go in the Volvo V60 Cross Country. Now, apart from the steering, your other inputs in this are quite nice as well. Throttle response is nice and linear. Brakes feel great, no weird sort of hybrid brake pedalness in this car. And you even get this little battery indicator. When you're braking, you can see there, it gives you a little green sign to show you that you are regenerating energy. Over the speed bump there, got a pretty good amount of ground clearance with this car. And shoot, actually, I forgot to talk about the wheels on this. You guys all saw in the walk around, we'll put a B-roll shot right now. This has a 20-inch wheel on it. Now, I went on the configurator, and I didn't see an option for this 20-inch wheel. There was only a 19. But when I referenced the Monroney for this car, it shows these 20-inch wheels being a $3,200 option. So that is pretty wild. But I think they probably pulled these at some point because they just simply stopped making them. But the Volvo V60 Cross Country started at $58,000 in 2026 as spec. This one is $68,000, though if you spec this the same right now without the wheels, you'd be looking at around 65 grand. So with or without the wheels, you are still in the 60s. And I know that does sound like a lot, especially considering that you can get a sort of low-tier luxury SUV for the same price. But then you just blend in with everyone else. And also, you guys hear the gear changes from this 8-speed? I thought maybe this was the ZF 8HP, but it's not. This is an ASIN 8-speed automatic transmission. And it's lovely. Gear changes are smooth, it's responsive, it always knows what gear to be in. I think with an exhaust, this thing would be like seriously rowdy. Going off of the inputs, the actual machinery here, the engine and the transmission are very quiet and serene. I mean, you really don't hear this 2-liter doing much unless you're a wide open throttle. What you do hear though is what sounds like a faulty window seal, which we'll evaluate more once we're on the highway. I'm gonna leave this in drive and we're gonna take this around a spirited corner here. So, not the fastest thing in the world. As I mentioned earlier, this weighs 4,000 pounds and it has well under 300 horsepower. So, you can get places briskly, but you're not going to win any races from lights. This does 0 to 60 in kind of the 6 to 7 second range, I would assume. That's what my butt dyno tells me. And actually, we'll go over here and we'll do a 0 to 60 and we will time it. But I don't think the purpose of this car is really being fast. If you wanted the fast wagon, you would have gotten the T8 Polestar engineered car, which they don't make anymore. But that was the same powertrain that you get in the XC90 with like 500 whatever pound-feet of torque. So that thing was properly quick. This has about half of that. So it does weigh a little bit less because it's not the plug-in hybrid. So 4,000 pounds is actually less than I would have expected. It's kind of a raunchy little noise from this. I'm genuinely kind of surprised. Okay, you also have a manual mode for the 8-speed, and you shift with the crystal. Bump it towards you, that'll give you a downshift. And then you bump it away from you, and that gives you a upshift. There you go. A very sort of adequate acceleration there, up to 60 miles an hour. No complaints. It just feels like what this car should be. I suspect, though, there are tunes, there are exhausts, there are other bolt-on parts that you could do with this and have quite a bit of fun. Now, I don't know that I would necessarily pick the Cross Country to do my modifications, but you could do some sort of a cool overlanding build with this. Lift it up, give it a little bit more ground clearance, give it a little bit of a rowdier exhaust, and you'd have a really cool build, I think. There aren't drive modes with this in the way that you would necessarily expect. It only has 2 drive modes, standard and off-road. That's it. And then you can adjust your steering into soft or firm, which I've left in soft all week because that is my preferred way to drive Volvos. But I'm not cheating you guys on a sport mode because there just isn't one. I love when it gives you the little fart between first and second gear. That's so satisfying. All right, there's other stuff we can talk about in here. I was so frustrated with this infotainment, I didn't even really show you guys around it, but it's the same as it's been. They haven't changed anything. It's still Google-based. It's actually fun to drive this car. And you know, that's another kind of leg up that it has on the XC60, say. This is way more fun, way more engaging, way more exciting than driving an XC60. I know that car has its purpose, but I'd rather drive this. This is spicing up my morning commute right now. It is making me smile. It's kind of like GTI-ish in the way that it sounds and behaves as far as like the engine and transmission tuning. Because your inputs here are pretty direct. I mean, they aren't lazy. You look at this and you may think this is a lazy grandpa station wagon, but it is certainly not that. Okay. I've also got, this is the best part of this infotainment, is all the different adjustments for the sound system. And the reason I'm bringing this up before we do the sound system test is because that's another menu that this car locked me out of earlier this week. I couldn't adjust anything with the sound system before I reset the infotainment for the first time out of 3 times. And it was really disappointing because I often like to move this between like studio, concert, jazz club, all the options that this has. I like to experience them all. Anyway, though, more about that later. Let's get this merged on and show you our highway manners here with the V60 Cross Country. Only thing I'll say is that there is a bit more wind noise than I expected. I guess just kind of noise overall. It's a little bit noisier on the highway than I would have guessed for 68 grand. I think some of it may come down. I think there's a seal or something here that isn't quite right. I'm curious actually if we close this pano roof, which you do just by swiping that guy. I wonder if that will quiet it down any. Not really. And I think it's because we don't have any roof rails on this car, so that's kind of where you'd save your ears, is if you had something on the roof to mute. Anyway, though, if you get past the noise in here, which is really a non-issue, especially if you have the Bowers and Wilkins, because you'll just be listening to that anyway. You're not riding in this car in silence, unless you're on an awkward family road trip. This is a station wagon after all. But I want to talk about the good things about this car whilst on the highway, which is everything else. And we'll start with ride quality, which is some of the best I've felt, and a real testament to the actual dampers in this, because this has 20-inch wheels with not the thickest sidewall, which means you are feeling some of the imperfections, but man, these dampers make up for a lot of it. And when you're going over sort of big rolling bumps like we have here on the highway, it just floats. This is just fantastic ride quality in this. And the comfort extends to the seat as well. There are a lot of different adjustments, many of which you have to kind of toggle through here. You can adjust the lumbar, you can adjust your leg extension. There are many adjustments to this seat, which is very attractive as well. You can kind of cycle through these. You can even do your bolsters. Check it out. Don't recommend you really do this while you're driving, but if you want to, you can cycle through. I've already gotten this dialed into my seating position. But I like that it's all physical buttons. You don't have to go into the infotainment to mess with any of this stuff. And then just seat comfort overall. I have road tripped one of these, and I remember the seat being pretty good. I don't remember if the Polestar engineered car had a different seat or not. I think it was the same. But not only are these beautiful to look, excuse me, and again, not only are these beautiful to look at, they are very comfortable and supportive as well. So good on Volvo for doing that. And then once it's time to activate the cruise control, it's very easy. It's one button on the left-hand side of the wheel. You press that and it defaults you into Pilot Assist, which is Volvo's little level 2 autonomous thing going on here, which will let you have your hands off the wheel for a little bit, and then it gets very unhappy and tells you to put your hands back on the wheel. If you're not a fan of Pilot Assist, you can toggle that off in the infotainment as the default first setting, but I don't mind Pilot. And you can also go back and forth and turn that off with these arrows here, but if you don't want it to default, that's easy to toggle off. And this is all very easy to use. The only thing that I don't super love about Volvo cruise controls is a single press is a 5-mile-an-hour increment. So you have to hold this if you want single mile-an-hour increments, which just seems backwards. You'd think that you'd want to hold it for a 5-mile-an-hour jump or decrease. But that is just the way it is here in Volvo land. Steering weight's up decently well when you're up to speed. It's obviously not as light as it is in a parking lot. And the only negative thing that I could say about this steering is that it is a little bit slow. Now, I love that it's light. I love that it's easy to do. But you sometimes find yourself kind of twisted up around like 15 to 20 mile an hour corners when you just wish it had like half a turn less in the steering. That's it. That's kind of my only note I have for this. Maybe a little bit of a faster rack would just make it feel that much more luxurious. Don't change the weight at all, because the weight is perfect, but maybe a little bit of a tweak to the quickness. That's all I would say. This does have to make multiple downshifts to do passes, because it just kind of doesn't have the torque. So as you saw there, it went from 8th to 5th to make that pass. Another thing I've been noticing, this has been rolling all week with the headlights on. I've had this in auto, and it doesn't matter. It runs with its headlights on all the time, which is fine. I don't mind that. I'm an advocate for having headlights on, but on a day like today, I don't know that I need them. Ergonomics in this, and as far as just sitting in it with your elbows and things, are nice. You've got decently squishy surfaces. The door panel is actually squishier than the center console. And visibility out of this is good as well. I've got no complaints there. I can see everything out of the back. Even when I had that bumper in here, I could see everything. So all good on that front. And maneuverability here is good too. I mean, this car doesn't feel big, which is another thing that I love about it. It feels more like you're driving a car, but you have all that added practicality here. I'm waiting for the resurgence of wagons that I feel like in some ways has already happened, because you see Audi and BMW making hot versions, and in fact being the only version of the wagon they sell here is the hot version. So I think maybe Volvo is pulling out of this at the wrong time, and I hope they come back guns a-blazing. Oh, are we going to lose CarPlay again? Okay, this is going to shut the car off. All right, well, we'll see if CarPlay works when we get back in. Should have done the sound system test already, I guess. Oh, well. No fuel cap, and this does take premium, so we will listen to that. Only the finest 93 octane here. Minimum 91. Pretty silver roof rails on this car. There you go. 6.5 gallons going in. I will say I do love a good capless fill system. And I also love one that I don't have to use a little button inside to pop. These are always out of receipt paper. Okay, digital receipt. There you go. Let's jump back in here. Ingress and egress in this is pretty easy. Only thing is, this roofline is a little bit low. Not quite as low as like a Toyota Crown Signia or something. But it's nothing where I really have to think about it. Ooh, and my CarPlay is working. Yes, score. All right, we're gonna go through some of these different modes. So this is in Studio All right now. This is kind of the default setting. Switch to driver. Switch to concert hall. And jazz club. Here's the thing, okay? I was considering using a different song today for this sound system test because I think this system is special. But then I figured I would leave the same one because this system is so good that I think that song sounds different in this car because there's more elements that you can hear, especially in jazz club when it's kind of accentuating those saxophones and things. There is nothing even close to the price of this Volvo V60 that gets close to touching this sound system. And you can get a Bowers in pretty much any Volvo car. You can't get it in the XC40, but you can get it in XC60, V60, XC90. When they still made the S90, you could get it there. The Polestar 3 has a Bowers. So these systems are available in other cars, but my goodness, are they impressive. I mean, this is just, you listen to songs differently on this Bowers and Wilkins. You hear things you've never heard before, and it's never harsh on the ears. You could have this turned up to 80% volume, and it's loud, and I get the decibel warning on my watch, but it never hurts my ears. It never strains. And the way it delivers the bass, it's these clean punches that don't vibrate the door panels, and the highs, they don't strain, they don't crackle. It's just the most impressive thing in the world. Now, it's a $3,500 option, but I always joke and I say that these are $60,000 sound systems with a free car attached. Obviously, the car itself is great too, but that is seriously how impressive these are. And who can argue with the looks of these two? The silver speaker grills and this beautiful tweeter here on the dashboard to let you know that you spent the $3,500 on this thing. It's seriously the best. Over some of these potholes, no problem, not worried about it. Ride in this is great. No sort of super advanced damper in this or anything. It just is always cozy. Always soaks everything up for you. To touch on efficiency real quick, this week I've put 143 miles on the Volvo V60. I've done 21.9 mpg. On today's trip, we've done 20 miles and we've done 18 mpg. So it's not the most efficient thing in the world. I mean, this little four-cylinder has to work pretty hard to deliver over 20 to begin with. The combined EPA rating for the V60 Cross Country is 26, which I believe, honestly, because I've been flogging this a little bit and it's still been able to do the 22 mpg. So I think if you were being really careful and really driving this like Meemaw, you could probably do the 26. Now, it's also rated at 31 highway. I don't know. I guess it's more aerodynamic than a Volvo 850, but it still kind of has that same design language, which is another reason I'm just going to miss the Wagon so much, is because Volvo has this timeless look with these wagons and the way that they've kind of just been recognizable since the beginning of time. Since Volvo came out with wagons, they've all just kind of looked the same. They're like the Porsche 911 in that way, where you see it and you always recognize it as a Volvo. But I just hope that they preserve some of that wagon heritage when they come out with the next generation. But for now, we must say goodbye to the Volvo wagon that we've known and loved in the US for decades. This is depressing, guys. I mean, I love Volvo wagons, and now I'm driving the last one. It's the end of an era. This is it. This is the car. And they're teasing us with this too. They've given it to me in green with tan interior. I mean, come on. Ugh, it's like the spec. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a shame that this car is no more, but I hope that you all have seen that wagons are cool. I suspect if you're watching this video, you understand that wagons are cool. And I guess we'll use this video to tell you that other companies still make wagons. Mercedes-Benz makes a wagon. BMW makes a wagon. Audi makes a wagon. Who else makes a wagon? Is that it? I guess Toyota has the Crown Signia, but that's more of a lifted wagon. Subaru Outback's more of a lifted wagon, which I guess this is a lifted wagon, but it's a lifted wagon in a different way than the Subaru Outback is. You know, like those are kind of creeping more up towards SUV status. And this I would never in a million years call it an SUV. So let's get this pulled into the structure. We'll wind our way up. And that will be it. We'll test out our maneuverability and stuff here. That is a very loud window motor. Holy crap. Now we do have a button on the touchscreen to activate our cameras. Obviously would prefer that to be a physical button, but
Please select an event from
whatever.
Welcome.
We are at the perfect height here to grab a ticket. Oh my goodness, this is busy today. For what reason? So we are not going to be ending our video in the parking structure. We'll end it outside somewhere. Ooh, look at this green Macan GTS. Very cool. I will say, the transition from the auto stop start into the engine running, obviously with this being a mild hybrid, is lovely. And it's to the point where I never turn it off because it's so seamless that you really don't even notice that it's happening. So that's one big advantage to a mild hybrid system. Look at this El Camino. Very cool. Alrighty guys, let's wrap this one up a little bit actually outside of downtown, but my normal spot was shut, so we'll actually give you a look at this paint now that the sun is out. You can see kind of the turquoise flake, as Volvo calls it, in this forest lake paint color. And we'll actually use our cameras to get into this spot right here, which I guess I was already set up pretty well for. You can see 360 camera there. All right, into park. That will shut the engine off. We'll pull the parking brake up, and you don't even have to hit the stop start switch. The car will just automatically turn off for you. So that's it. That's been a little abbreviated day in the life here with the Volvo V60 Cross Country, bidding farewell to this absolute icon, the Volvo wagon as a whole. This is the swan song for that, and I'm sad about it. So let me know what you guys think. Are you sad about this too? I assume you are if you're watching this video. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this thing, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Oh yeah, you can see that turquoise in there. Very nice. All right, see ya.